Irish pubs have been a part of New York City culture since the 19th century. In honor of this New York institution, today we'll show you the best places for Irish pub food in the city because you don't have to be a drinker to enjoy them. Hope you brought your appetite. Established in 1854, McSorley's Old Ale House is the oldest Irish pub in the city and probably the most famous. We've drawn inspiration for this adventure from the sponsor of today's video, Searchlight Pictures, and their new movie, The Banshees of Inisherin, which is set in Ireland, starring Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson as two friends that have a fallout. And I need a friend who I haven't had a falling out with to inspire me for an Irish movie night.
You know, when you start thinking about the history of New York, you really start to think about where the term pub even came from. It comes from public house. When you start to think about how New York was created and the ideas that got shared to help make this city the city that you know today, it all came from the culture that started here at bars like this. So if you want to get to know New York better, visit your local bar.
You see the sawdust here? This is because people used to spit tobacco on the floor. So much history of this bar. John Lennon used to come in and sit in the back corner table writing, and just happened to be sitting at that very table right now. Abraham Lincoln had a drink here after his famous 1860 address at Cooper Union, and you could even see Harry Houdini's handcuffs hanging over the bar. He escaped 2 sets of handcuffs inside McSorley, so this place is a who's who of American history.
You know, people always say that corned beef hash is the ultimate Irish brunch food, and frankly, I've never ever disagreed with that in my many years of existence on this world. You know, growing up in New York, so many times when you are introduced to food from a different culture that you don't even really think about it. I've had so much corned beef hash throughout my years living here that this is actually among some of the best that I've ever had. The gravy brings it all together.
I mean, corned beef and cabbage, does it get more Irish than that?
Not really. Having the food here is definitely something that I'd recommend to a lot of people to do while they visit McSorley's.
And the movie Banshees of Inisherin is set on the fictional island of Inisherin. We're on the very real island of Manhattan, and I decided to order something that's very real in New York City, a Feltman's hot dog. Now this is like the OG Coney Island hot dog. Too many people think about Nathan's when you should really be ordering a Feltman's at a spot like McSorley's. Kept it simple, a little sauerkraut, spicy mustard on top. Way better than Nathan's. An advanced move as a tourist, getting your first hot dog at McSorley's. So you kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You come to a super famous pub and you get an incredible hot dog.
Does this mean that you're now a convert from one Coney Island dog to the other Coney Island dog?
Oh, absolutely. Feltman's all the way. 4 beers, hot dog, corned beef hash, $30. I mean, we could practically put this into a cheap eats video. It's such an amazing spot. Next up, I want to show you a spot that does traditional Irish pub fare really well.
Welcome to Midtown.
I feel like I just walked into Dublin right now. This is an absolutely incredible interior if you want like a real contemporary Irish pub feel.
When you walk in here, you feel the newness of the bar, but it also has that classic Irish feel to it where when we walked in, the first thing our bartender did was walk up to us and say, "How are you guys doing?" in that classic accent.
I did my homework on New York Irish pubs. Very few had their amount of traditional Irish fare on the menu, and that's why we picked them, and incredible reviews from everybody.
Shoot for the shepherd's pie.
I want to do what you said, the Irish chicken curry.
Sure.
Looking at all this really traditional Irish pub fare just totally puts me in the mood to watch Banshees of Inisherin, which is directed by Martin McDonagh. I actually saw the movie, and they do such a fantastic job setting the scene of Ireland in the 1920s. The cinematography just puts you in Ireland, and going to these pubs, well, I feel like I'm right there in the movie.
When you look inside of it, you have a thick cut piece of bacon here, which looks more like ham, which is great. It's buttered, and it's just honestly something that does well on a cold day like today. I love this. There's nothing complicated about this. It's literally just white bread, butter, and bacon. But when you look at the type of bacon they use here, it's a little bit fattier, which is very nice because it goes very well with the bread.
For many people in the U.S., Irish chicken curry would not stand out as something that's traditional Irish pub fare, but this is huge in Ireland because of a lot of the Indian food influence. So we've got the chicken curry here, and then we've got a side half fries, half rice. So you've got the Indian influence, and you've got more of that pub fare influence all in one. This is perfect food for a pub. If you're drinking, you want to stay warm. Dip your fries in the curry sauce. You know, I can see why this is so popular in Ireland.
So right now we've got our beef, we've got some carrots in there, we've got some fresh veggies in there. I believe there's some peas in there as well. It's just keeping it super traditional. Obviously you have your mashed potatoes on top, made into a beautiful, beautiful pattern on top. And now we get to see how it tastes. That's spectacular. When you start thinking about having a pint with a couple of your best friends, and really start thinking about coming out and just coming together over a table, the first thing you want to do is grab some comfort food, and this, my friends, is it.
A few other cool things about Westbury. One, you are just a few minutes from Bryant Park, and two, they play music from an Irish radio station. I was like, that accent's definitely not from New York. We're gonna stick with history. Peter McManus Cafe, open here since 1936. Love it, love it. Remember when these were a thing at bars? I have an important call to make, excuse me. All right, I was like certain I was gonna get trapped in there. Oh, Jesus. It feels like we're setting ourselves up for an awkward first date here.
Clearly people were a lot smaller back in the day because Lord knows the boy ain't really fitting in here. Modern Americans, beware.
I'm the only person that could say I've run my great-grandfather's place. I'm the fourth generation, and now we have a couple of little fifth generation McManuses running around too, so proud that we're a 5-generation family business.
Curious about the decor here, because to me it feels like we're stepping back in time.
There's a thing about, especially, New York, Irish, American type style pubs. They're a timeless classic. Besides the TVs and like the jukebox, just about everything is original to the 30s. People that if they've walked in, they remember it. If you don't remember, if you've ever been here, you've likely have never been here.
I'm even a fan of these menus.
All right.
There you are.
Thank you.
And if you don't finish the tots, take them home because they make perfect hash browns tomorrow.
All this pub food smells fecking good. That's right, I use the word fecking, which is very commonly used in Ireland. And in the movie Banshees of Inisherin, Colin Farrell uses the word very frequently.
See what all this is fecking about. That should be the best thing.
And we've got their McManus Reuben sandwich. Very, very famous here. Pastrami, corned beef, sauerkraut, Swiss, rye, Russian dressing, and tater tots on the side. We talk about going to Katz's, we talk about all the famous delis. We're gonna see how this holds up. Big bite. That's a lot of meat, wow.
Gonna get the meat sweats after this one?
I might get the meat sweats after this one. With the Russian dressing and the Swiss cheese, everything in that one bite, it's just comfort. This is like perfect bar food. At least we have a little bit of Irish flair involved here with the corned beef. Now, it's not corned beef and cabbage, but close enough.
Pop's Burger is a beautiful blend of brisket, short rib, and chuck, cooked to perfection. Oh, that's good. The star of the show with this one is going to be that wonderful patty. It's seasoned to perfection. It's not overly done, so you still have the flavor of the beef shining, but with that wonderful combination of just different fatty cuts of beef. One thing people don't do enough of when they create burgers, they like to go super lean, which dries everything out. Fat equals flavor. So when you add all that in, you add those spices, you end up with a perfectly juicy burger that is a can't miss in Chelsea, New York.
One of the things I'm most proud of is our food. There's this weird stigma that goes around that, hopefully is breaking, but, like an Irish pub or, your local neighborhood like spot that's open at 4 a.m. that you might think about going to get drunk first. And food is an afterthought. You do it as a necessity to mop up the alcohol and not to have a meal. And we take pride in our food.
Now that I'm full of the best Irish pub food in the city, I've got my Blu-ray and I'm ready for a night in with the Banshees of Inisherin. Check them out on Blu-ray and digital, and watch another video next.